Good morning, family. Welcome to today's Lessons for Life. Today is Tuesday, April 28th, 2009, and we're reading the last chapter in the book of Joshua, Joshua chapter 24. And first, as always, I do encourage you to read it for yourself. See what you get from it, email us, and we'll put it on the blog. But as you read this chapter, you'll see Joshua is talking to the children of Israel. He's, like we mentioned yesterday, he's really preparing to make his transition out of this life, and he's telling them, and this is a saying I've heard several times, he gives them a choice. He says, choose this day who you're going to serve, but as for me and my house, we're going to serve the Lord. So, as for Joshua, he said that, just like even how Moses did, if you remember back, he's saying there's a choice before you, and in regards to that choice, I know what my decision is going to be. Me and my house, we're going to serve the Lord, and that's what Joshua is saying to them. And one thing you have to remember, even as we're reading it today and as we're seeing it, that we also have that same choice, just like Moses told us before. And you can't be, you can only do so much for other people. You can't make them make the right decisions, but you can present the opportunity to them. You can give them that choice, make them aware of the choices that they have. The only one that you can actually change is really yourself. So just like Joshua says, for me and my house, which is the only thing that he is really responsible for, that he can take control over, is he's going to serve the Lord. And that's the same thing that we have to live by as well too. We can't change other people's minds. We can't influence them, but we can't make the decision for them. But we can present them with the opportunity. So that was one thing I definitely saw and wanted to point out for Lessons for Life about, whatever it is that you present to a person, you can't make them make the decision, but you can control the decision for your own life and for your own house. So that was one thing, and it was funny because today I actually read from Bible that I don't normally read from, and it had like little subtitles in the chapters, and it says Joshua exhorts the children of Israel. So he's preparing for death, so he's really telling them all these things as he's preparing for death, leaving them with the choice that they have to make. And as you read through, of course, you'll see what they say in the response to that. But just because, as I was reading that, I was thinking, it sounds very similar to what Moses did before he left, where he presented them with this choice, and he's talking to them, and he's telling them all these different things. So, remember this, remember what the Lord has done for us, remember how he's brought us this far, and remember all this. And he's saying all this before he's making his transition. And I kind of, it just caused me to think about something as I was reading it even today, of how when we're, and I've seen it happening too, when someone's nearing the end of their life or whatever, that they actually start living differently. They start doing things differently and even thinking differently. But imagine if we was to really just live our entire lives that way. I mean, there was something that was said to me, a little while ago, and I've heard it before too. But imagine living like today was the last day of your life. What would you do differently today if you thought today was the last day of your life? And I've seen races run, and long distance races, and at the very last, towards the end of the race, the runner starts speeding up to try and get that last victory, a last second victory or whatever. And I used to think, if he was able to run that way at the end, if he could just have done that consistently throughout the whole race, it wouldn't even been a race. He would have won it hands down. Or even a boxer, that final round, and he's down, he knows he's down in the points, and he comes out, and he's swinging, he's putting his all into it in that last round to try and win the fight. And if he had done that throughout the entire fight, if he had the ability to have done that throughout the fight, he would have knocked his opponent out or whatever. So this caused me to think about as Joshua was exhorting the people, and I remember Moses was doing the same thing. And if we are able to take our lives and really see it as how precious it really is, not waiting until the last minute, not waiting until it's too late, but seeing each day how precious it really is, and just valuing it as much as we can each day, not letting the day go by. Because if today really was your last day, and myself would live so much differently, would do things so differently, we would really appreciate every single second of the day. And that's the way another thing I thought about as I was reading this, because Joshua was preparing for his departure, so this was just another example of another person getting ready to leave this earth, and what he was going to be saying at that particular point. So if we can live our own lives really just valuing it every day, not taking anything for granted, but appreciating everything that we have before us just for that day, then we would actually live so much different and even so much better and more productive lives. And that's something that we need to kind of remind ourselves of on a regular basis, just so that we don't get too complacent or get too relaxed in life and let things go by that shouldn't go by. Let time pass by that shouldn't pass by, and then when it's too late, then you regret it. So that's really another thing I thought about as I was reading this chapter. I definitely want to share that as well with you for Lessons for Life. So with that, create yourself a wonderfully blessed day today, and we will talk again tomorrow.